Sinai. He was in the boat with four of the Chachamim, and with those four of the Chachamim was with Rabbi Yoshua, Rabbi Elazar ben Azara, Rabbi Akiva, all together, and they didn't have a lulav. There was only one lulav. It was a one-man show. So what did they do? The Mishnah comes and teaches us that he took the lulav, and he shared it with his rabbi friends. So he did the mitzvah, then he gave it to his friend, and then it went on and on. And then we learned from there a very important halacha, that there's a mitzvah to that you can give a lulav as a gift on condition to give it to receive it back. So let's say I give you my phone, not my phone. Let's say I give you my tefillin. I tell you, here, put my tefillin on condition to give it back to me. Once you give them back to me, you fulfilled your mitzvah. Right? So this was the same thing with. It's not really the same thing because the lulav really has to belong to you. This is the whole idea. So now there's a question in the Gemara, because in the Gemara it says that he bought it for $1,000. You know what 1,000 zuz? You know 1,000 zuz how much it was? I made some research with AI, and it's $150,000 US worth of silver
for a lulav.
For a lulav. Rabban Gamliel was very rich, from like a rural family.
Crazy.
He was, it's crazy. So now, but even the Gemara asked a question. The Gemara asked, he says, I don't understand. Why do I need this information? Just tell me, like we're being very practical. So now I learned that if you share with your friends, meaning that you give a gift and on condition that you return it. So this is what the information I need. You have to go and tell me you bought it for 1,000 zuz. You can give 10,000 zuz. What does it change for me? The Gemara comes and answers, no, my friend. This is only to teach you how much precious, how much they cherish the mitzvah. So you can go get it yourself. Living in different times and also in different places. Now, let's say now you're in I don't know, you're in Canada. There's important the mitzvah was for him to do it, and then he went and he spent so much money to go and do it. So B'ezrat Hashem, shall take the fruit of the hadach tree, branches of palm trees, boughs of dance trees, and willows of the is the tallest of them all. The mitzvah is referred to as taking the lulav, right? Al nitilat lulav. This is the tallest one. And the Bachar recited is, who has made us holy through his commandments and has commanded us about taking the lulav. On the Torah level, the mitzvah only applies on the first day. As we read, on the first day you shall take. Only in the temple are we commanded to take the lulav each day, as we see from the continuation of the verse, and you shall rejoice before the Lord your God 7 days. In practice, since there's a mitzvah to go. Nowadays, it's only you do it the first day. It's from the Torah is only the Rabbanan. Belong to your friend.
The first day of Shabbat.
So we just went in the next section. It was saying that if that really we're supposed to do it on Shabbat, we have to do the lulav.
Shake.
Of course. Why? The only issue of the lulav that you can have, you can say, oh, maybe it's muktzeh. Muktzeh is only that. No, what's the problem? But a big issue, my friend. It's not so simple, because that we were scared that if you're going to go and take the lulav, you might go and ask and you don't know how to do it, you don't know the bracha, you might go outside of your house and go to the rabbi and ask him how to do it. And then you'll be walking for amot. No, for amot, just walking outside 2 meters, not home, because here carrying outside without a. So they said this would be an issue. So this would be an issue. So then they said, okay, you know what? I understand, because before everyone used to go to the Beit HaMikdash. It doesn't work also this. Why? Because not everyone had the same calendar. Back in the phone, and then they used to go and tell other people and transfer the information from place to place. They were scared that let's place they didn't calculate it properly, but they didn't transfer it, and then they would do the mitzvah that was, let's say, it was really the second day. Then you're doing your inisu on Shabbat. That was the issue. So even nowadays, since we know the proper calculation, since we already had a ruling from the Gemara like that we shouldn't do it, then even today we don't do it. So let's go back to the hear the text. After the destruction of the temple, Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai ordained that the lulav should be taken for 7 days everywhere to commemorate the temple. Such commemorative practices are very important, as our sages tell us. By remembering the temple and continuing to observe the mitzvot that were observed there, we help to restore what was lost with the destruction and exile, and hasten the redemption. We take one Itchog, one Adas, and one Arava, but does not recite the bracha. So this is the opinion of Rabbi Akiva, that he says even one, if any one of the species is very small, it is invalid. The minimum size is at least 4 tefachim long. Adasim and Aravim must be at least 3 tefachim long. So 3 tefachim, this is like a tefach. So
I've seen some lulav that are short, actually. Not always.
Many times you see lulav that are not. Yeah, many times, and also you see many times lulav, adas are not kosher. This is very common, unfortunately. So it says that the adas has to have all 3. Careful that don't check them. It's called the adas shote. That it's just all over the place. It's not. There's no alignment. So it's not maximum kosher. Okay. The next one.
Okay. Number 2, expressing the unity of the Jewish people.
Yeah.
In order to fulfill the mitzvah, if any one of them is missing, the mitzvah cannot be fulfilled. L'atchila, they should be taken together. The lulav bundled with the hadassim and aravot. However, the diavad, if someone took them serially, he has fulfilled the obligation. This halacha teaches species there are 2 that produce fruit, the lulav and the etrog, and 2 that do not, and thus the arava. So there are Torah scholars and people of action. Just as the presence of all 4 species is necessary to fulfill the mitzvah, so too the presence of both scholars and doers is necessary for the nation to thrive. Scholars cannot survive without the doers who support them, and doers cannot survive without the scholars who enrich their lives with spiritual content. Robert Midrash explains that the 4 species represent 4 types of people. The etrog, which both tastes and smells good, corresponds to Jews who are full of both Torah and good deeds. The lulav, whose fruits taste good but which has no smell, corresponds to Torah scholars who are full of Torah but not perform any good deeds. The hadas, which smells good and has no taste, corresponds to people who perform good deeds but are not Torah scholars. The arava, which is neither taste nor smell, represents simple Jews who do not have much Torah or many good deeds. At first glance, we are unable to reach the next world. But God says, bundle them all together, and they will atone for one another. Up as we read, He builds His chambers in heaven when His bundle is established on Earth. As four matriarchs. They also suggest, based on wordplay, that the species hint at Sanhedrin and Torah scholars.
Very good. So the Torah links the principle of Idur, beauty, to the Etrog, which both tastes and smells good, corresponding to the wholesomeness that will be achieved in the future. As we will learn, we are more meticulous about the Idur and magnificence of the Etrog than we are about the other species. The Holy Torah. Even if they do not perform many good deeds, just as the love is taller than all the other species, so the Torah is above everything. The sages ordained that the bracha is recited on the lulav, indicating exalted in the Torah. The basic condition for Torah study is that it must remain connected to and united with the entire Jewish people. Even though Torah contains different opinions and perspectives, it all comes from a source that the pieces will ultimately join together again. The unique form of the lulav expresses this unity. Its leaves grow on opposite sides of the spine, but they remain close to it in unity. There are many leaves, but they are not separate. So the next and just adds a little bit of its own. Together, the leaves cover the spine. Furthermore, each leaf is out at the tip. The straightness of the lulav also expresses unity, as it is entirely oriented toward one goal. If a lulav is crooked, it is in faces in two directions. Thus, our sages state, just as the palm has only one heart, so too Israel has only one heart for their Father in heaven. Today, the palm branches kapot are Torah scholars who forced kofim themselves to learn Torah from one love lose to Torah, which has there's a difference of views that all stem from one source and share common goal. Right? Because the love is one, they have many branches, but they all over. This idea should inspire Torah scholars to increase unity in the world. Hadasim allude to mitzvot and good deeds. The impact of good deeds radiates outward like a pleasant fragrance. The sages say that the rise at the seam, and it is in it that the world endures. It is through the practice of mitzvot that holiness, and this thus is worthy of enduring. The Hadasim also allude to the mitzvah to procreate, to educate one's children. The Hadasim also allude to the mitzvah to procreate and to educate one's children. It's threefold. Leaves express increase, and the surah 4 bears Yaakov. Just as Adas is surrounded by leaves, so Yaakov was surrounded by children, and so Leah was surrounded by children. Women who undertake the difficult jobs of having children, bringing them up, and educating them are the ones who primarily have the privilege of revealing the holiness of daily life. Right? And Rabbi Demir was talking about this. He says, like a woman, when she's cooking at home, and she's taking care of her kids, and she's teaching them the right thing, because she is raising up those Jewish souls. At first glance, it would seem that the Araba has no statue at all, right? There's no beauty of this world. The common decency which precedes Torah study. Before the Araba has great value, just as the vitality of simple Jews sustains Torah scholars and doers. Out of this vitality, Torah giants grow. People are not emerged from simple families. So sometimes, you see poor families, you see even rich families. It doesn't matter that you see, oh, how can this guy come from this family? This guy is a huge family. Like the Aravot, right? But look, even from Aravot, you can have something so great that can come out of him. So this is the first time I read something like that. So it's very, very nice. Does not regularly manifest itself in this world. So to the Rava has no taste or smell. And when it does not receive water, which alludes to Torah and faith, it withers rapidly, just as when our temple was destroyed and we were exiled. We also find the sages stating that the Rava alludes to Rachel and Yosef. On the one hand, the existence of the Jews in this world is thanks to them. For all of Yaakov's children were born because of his desire to marry Rachel, and Israel's continued existence in Egypt was thanks to of life. They both died younger than their siblings. Never role in uncovering covering the redemptive elements in this world. Achal and Yosef's extraordinary beauty alludes to this. This is also what the sages mean when they say that we see that fulfill his destiny, improve the will, and benefit all of creation in accordance with the word of God. Number 4.
What invalidates the 4 species? There are 5 categories of disqualification that invalidate the 4 species. The species must be those which the Torah specifies and no others. The fruit of the hadar tree is an etrog and not a lemon. Even a hybrid etrog is invalid. Boughs of dense-leaved trees are hadassim with 3-fold leaves, not wild hadassim. One must take a willow branch, not a poplar branch. They must retain their natural form. Thus, if the leaves of the lulav grow on only one side, or most of the leaves of the Hadassah Raba have fallen off, they are invalid. They must be required size. If they are too small, they would not be referred to as the fruit of the Hadar tree or the branches of the palm tree, or boughs of the dense-leaved trees, or willows of the brook. If the specimen does not meet these 3 requirements, it is invalid for the entire festival. It must possess hadar, beauty, aesthetic pleasantness, and that is if they have not lost their natural form of beauty. For example, by completely drying out, even if they retain the basic shape, many poskim invalidate specimens that lack hadar only in the first term. So others say that this invalidates them all 7 days. It must be whole. When it comes to an etrog, this means that it must not be missing any flesh. Regarding a lulav, it means that the tiyomit must not be split. These deficits invalidate the lulav and etrog in the first term, but do not invalidate them during the rest of the suga. Thus, to disqualify a specimen, you must have a change. These issues rarely come up. Even though most of the specimens on sale are kosher, Jewish practices to enhance the mitzvah by choosing beautiful specimens. Says this is not the source of stress. When circumstances are pressing, it is impossible one may fulfill the when taking them, others do not. That one does not recite. In addition to the 5 types of disqualification, which are related to the specimen themselves, one on the first day, anything dedicated for idolatry is invalid to fulfill the mitzvah. You want to do it 5? Let's go to 14.
Give me here 14.
Hidur mitzvah.
Hidur mitzvah. So B'ezrat Hashem, I hope that we're gonna have time, hopefully soon, to go through all the
Mashiach's coming soon.
that's good too. So
then we'll
but,
have a lot of time.
Yeah, B'ezrat Hashem, that's the thing. That's the thing when Mashiach comes, that all our worldly needs will be taken care of, so we can focus on this. So on learning Torah, being close to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and to perfect the word. In the Haftarah, it says that in the time, in time of Sukkot, all the goyim will be like all the righteous goyim will stay in time of Mashiach, and the Jews all go together and celebrate the Sukkot. So there is a mitzvah to beautify mitzvot, as it is written, this is my mean, beautify yourself before him through mitzvot. Make a beautiful sukkah, a beautiful love, written for the accept the offering of Hevet, who brought his best and fattest sheep, while did not accept Cain's stingy offering of simple fruits and vegetables. Our sages tell us that in order to beautify means that one should be prepared to spend up to a third over and above the basic price of the item. For example, if one went to market and found kosher levim at different prices, beautify the mitzvah by spending even more than for an even better love, God will reward him. This is on the condition that the additional spending will not be at the expense of his fulfilling other more important mitzvot, or of his ability to pay his bills and provide for his household. Right? So if one has three possible love sets to buy, so now let's get into the math.
It's a shlish or something, right? It's 1/3 more than the basic.
Right, that's what he says. A kosher set that costs $30, a nicer set for $50. It means that to beautify requires him to add a third. Add $10 beyond the $30 price of the basic set, and buy the $40. If he wants to beautify the mitzvah more, he may buy a $50 set, and God will reward him. But like we said, that you cannot, there's ikar and tafel. So you have your wife, you have your kids, you have your family, you have bills. Your money to people, that's a big one. Your money to people, you cannot go start spending so much money
on the etrog
and other things if you're money to people. This all applies to the average person, but for someone whose financial situation is precarious, there is no mitzvah to add a third. Conversely, if one is fortunate enough to be wealthy, it is appropriate for him to pay more than an additional third to beautify the mitzvah. This is especially true of someone who generally buys expensive clothing and furniture and is prepared to pay several times the basic price of those items. He should be prepared to spend similarly on mitzvot, right? And that's it was interesting because I was learning about, let's say, for a wedding. It says that, he came. So if you're going to spend, I don't know, 300,000, then you can also go and spend, an idea of showing off is that because now you're fulfilling a mitzvah. So the same way that you like to have nice things and do nice things. So okay, we'll leave. Exactly. So we'll give you a extra for this. So okay, you have a hechsher. All right, exactly. That's the problem. And not only that you can see the difference. If you look at go check online, or go look at a $40 mezuzah, $50 mezuzah, look at the difference. You can see it. It's not even. It's bichlal even if it's kosher. Many times it's not even kosher.
But let's say it is kosher, so the writing is different than everything else.
It's very, to be honest, if they're very cheap, it's very difficult to be kosher because it takes a long time to make them, and it's not so simple. It's not so simple that someone will go and sell it for $30 if we're talking like 3-4 hours. So now, because I don't want to keep it for too long, we have to. I don't know till when you can go, but we have all night. But anyways, I sent you now Hoshaana Raba, so we'll speak a little bit about tonight and its importance. Also, what is the custom today? How do we do it? And then we'll go a little bit about Simchat Torah. Okay? So, Bechavod.
Now what number?
The 7th day of Sukkot, the number 1. Here, right here.
It is also known as Hoshaana Raba. It is an especially significant day because of Sukkot, because on Sukkot, God renders judgment about how much water there will be during the upcoming year. So it is the final verdict sealed. Since all plant, animal, and human life, Hoshaana, please save to God. On this day we take our avot, sometimes called Hoshanot, because they require more water than other species, and is easily discernible when they dry out. The sages made sure that Hoshaana Raba never falls on Shabbat. Here we go. So that we have the opportunity to plead and cry out for water. Just as water sustains physical life, Torah sustains the life of the spirit. In the words of the sages, water refers to Torah. According to judgment concerning water on Hoshaana Raba, includes judgment about human life in its entirety. The physical and the spiritual. This is the Minim Zohar's statement. Where am I?
There are times of judgment. Meaning of Zohar statement that there are 3 times of judgment. Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur.
Here.
Rosh Hashanah,
Here. This is the meaning of the Zohar statement.
Here, Rosh Hashanah. Here, Yom
This is the
Kippur.
meaning of the Zohar statement that there are 3 times of judgment: Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, and Hoshaana Raba. Similarly, there's a tradition that God told Abraham, if your children are not forgiven on Rosh Hashanah, they'll be forgiven on Hoshaana Raba. This is also expressed another way. Even the verdicts are recorded on Rosh Hashanah, finalized and sealed in prayer. The directive to execute the verdict takes place only on Hoshaana Raba. This can be compared to a human court, even after the verdict has been handed down, if not yet been written in an execution order and conveyed to the agents of justice responsible for carrying it. It is still possible to work for its reversal. This is the idea of Hoshaana Raba. When each verdict is written on the execution order or particular messengers to convey to the angel as the execution orders have not yet been written and sent out with couriers. Therefore, it is appropriate to repent on Hoshaana Raba. Furthermore, even after the verdict is given, the angels in Hoshaana Raba until then. So keep going. Some hold.
Yeah.
Some hold a large joyful celebration on the night of Hoshaana Raba, like on the other nights of Sukkot. But the widespread custom is to study Torah on the night of Hoshaana Raba, and thus combining Torah study with festival joy, albeit without music and dancing. They have to stay awake all night studying Torah on Hoshaana Raba to repair and purify the soul before judgment is final. To read the entire Torah on this night. Based on Arizal's teaching, a tikkun focusing on Devarim and Tehillim was composed for the recitation on this night. As we have learned, on each day, there's a question. After. Well, I'm gonna carrying the 4 species, reciting supplications before, during, and after the circuit. Hoshaana Raba we circle 7 through, after which we receive many supplications. Because of the Hoshaana Raba's sanctity and its special mitzvot, especially the festive meal during the day.
Very good.
When, after you wake up, 1 o'clock.
Tomorrow morning.
Tomorrow morning.
Yeah. Okay, you can have lunch, a good lunch.
People come back to shul here, no?
No, here we're all gonna go at 6:30, and then after gonna go. But let's say you're gonna do you're gonna go to a regular Minim, and then the lunch. You should have a nice lunch. Okay, so now in addition to the Torah's commandments to take the aravot as one of the 4 species, there's another mitzvah which originates Halacha Moshe Sinai, to bring long aravot branches to the temple and stand them next to the altar with their tops bent over onto the altar. When the aravot were brought, the Kohanim sounded Tikya, Torah, Tikya, blast on the shofar. This was done each day of Sukkot except for Shabbat. However, if Hoshaana Raba coincided with Shabbat, it was done because the main significance of the mitzvah of Arava was on this day. To avoid Shabbat desecration, the aravot were picked before Shabbat and left in golden vases filled with water to prevent their withering. Then on Shabbat, the Kohanim would simply stand up the aravot next to the altar. Extending this practice, the prophets instituted that the aravot be taken not only in the temple, but by Jews everywhere. They also instituted that the aravot are beaten after the destruction. The Jews continue to discuss him in commemoration of the temple. Right, so we see that the source of being the aravot is Halacha Moshe Sinai. It was done in the Beit Hamikdash, and since the Beit Hamikdash was so Nevi'im, they said that that it shouldn't be only done in the Beit Hamikdash, every Jews. circled the altar 7 times. According to the Kabbalists, there is a hidden link between the mitzvah of Arava and the 70. The mitzvah of Arava is so important that according to some Moraim, when the Sanhedrin was still sanctifying each month, it avoided declaring Rosh Hashanah on Sunday. But Hoshana, and people will always be able to take the Arava. Likewise, when the last Sanhedrin in Eretz Yisrael fixed the Jewish calendar as we know it, they made sure that Hoshaana Raba will never fall on Shabbat. It would seem at first glance that since Hoshaana Raba has neither taste nor smell, represents Torah nor good deeds, the Torah commands us to bundle the Arabot with the other species in order to protect this type of Jew. Given this, we may ask, why take the Arava on its own? Clearly, the Arava is another dimension. Precisely because it lacks both taste and smell, it represents the penitent, who is aware of his limited value and many deficiencies, and who realizes that God alone can help him. From this perspective, the penitent is closer to God than someone who is completely righteous. The latter has earned his right to exist in the merit of his good deeds. He does not need special help from heaven. In contrast, a penitent is aware that he is totally dependent upon God, who extends a hand to him to accept his repentance. This is more profoundly of days the sages declare, where penitents stand, where penitents, right, after we have already done our best to repent, praying extensively on Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. We now approach God to humbly ask for help. We take the Arava to show that, like penitents, we know that our salvation is dependent upon God alone. Perhaps this is why the Arava, which allude to our repeated plea to God to save us. For if we deserve to be saved, it is in the merit of the humility that they represent. The custom of beating the Aravot also expresses our willingness to disregard ourselves and our evil inclination in order to serve God wholeheartedly.
Three?
Yeah, 3. Tell me when you're good. Go. I don't think we have so much, but go do 3. Let's see.
Beating the Arabot. The custom of Israel is to take the Arabot on the 7th day to commemorate the temple and to beat them on the ground or something else, as the prophets instituted the temple times. The Amoraim disagree. Is recited. The Aravot needed to be 3 tefachim long, like the Aravot bundle with blue. Technically, 1 Aravah is enough, but it's customary nowadays to follow a result to take 5 Aravot. Some prefer not to tie the 5 Aravot together, others prefer to tie them, and this is the custom. Although the Aravot used for the mitzvah of the 4 species are invalid if most of its leaves have fallen off, Aravot used for the custom of beating are acceptable as long as one leaf remains on each Arava. Nevertheless, one should not be lenient. One however, technically, many people can fulfill the custom with the same Aravot. The beating itself is not disqualified. As long as each is 3 tefachim long and has at least 1 remaining leaf, they may be used multiple times to fulfill the custom. The Aravot are beaten 2 or 3 times on the ground or something else. According to Arizal, the custom is to beat the Aravot 5. I keep losing my place, I don't know why. On the pews and other furniture, because they maintain that it's better when the beating tears off leaves, which is more likely to happen when beating them on furniture. Those who follow Arizal may take rather, the 7 hakafot and the subsequent prayers and the liturgical poems are conducted while holding the 4 species. Additional prayers and liturgical poems are then recited, and the service concludes with the beating of the Aravot. Based on Arizal, the Yemenite custom is to hold the 4 spices plus the Aravot during the hakafot of Hoshaana Raba. One cannot fulfill this obligation using aravot, but still that are still bundled with the lulav. However, if the aravot from the bundle after the 4 pieces have been taken, one may use them for the mitzvah of eating aravot. Go to 4.
Yeah. Then you can use your aravot. Right?
Yeah.
But if let's say you didn't do your mitzvah yet of taking the lulav, you cannot use them because they were for a mitzvah. As we have seen, during the festival, the 4 species are set aside, muktzeh, for mitzvah purposes and may not be used for any other purpose. Therefore, even if you can do lulav on Hoshaana Raba and it's finished with the mitzvah until next Sukkot, but you may not eat the redchol or smell that. No, because it's muktzeh now. Forever. So you cannot, unless you made a condition before that it will not be muktzeh. With the completion of Hoshaana Raba, they are released from the prohibition and they may be smelled or eaten. No, because it was just Hoshaana Raba. In fact, if one has no further use for the 4 species after fulfilling the mitzvah on the final day of Sukkot, may leave them in the yard or anywhere that people leave grass clippings or yard trim. Kadosh in itself, right? For example, tzitzit is the left where they will be on Hoshaana Raba. Some have the custom to leave them on top of the ark. So usually here, if you open ensure that they are not thrown on the ground outside of the synagogue, where they would be trampled. Ultimately, however, it is preferable to protect the dignity of the ark and not. Some set aside the aravot, which when they burn them together with the chametz for baking matzah. Some keep the aravot in their house or yard as a protected. Okay,
not take down the sukkah. This is because the mitzvah of sitting in the sukkah continues until day's end. Or chat with friends, it is still a mitzvah to go do it in the sukkah. However, 2.5 hours before sunset, one may move furniture back into the house. In preparation for Shmini Atzeres, it is appropriate to spend time in the sukkah at the end of Hoshaana Raba in order to spend as much time as possible in the shade of the mitzvah. Some recite the prayer found in some Siddurim where the scarf and the walls and decorations for any other purpose during the festival, even though there is no longer a mitzvah to skin. Even though there's no longer a mitzvah to sit in the sukkah on the 8th day, they remain Moshe then too, since the prohibition. Since the scarf, the walls, decorations are in the Tashmishe mitzvah, they do not require burial, but they may not be treated disrespectfully. For example, sukkah beams may not be used as floorboards, and paper decorations may not be used as toilet paper. Eretz Yisrael is forbidden to eat in the sukkah on the 8th day. If one does so while attending to the mitzvah, he transgresses the Torah prohibition. About Tosif, as move the stock and covers an area of 4 tefachim long and 4 tefachim wide, make it clear that he's not interested in the stock. The concern that one appears to be adding to the mitzvah applies only to the 8th day. One who wants to eat in the sukkah anytime after that need not remove the stock, because by that late day nobody would think that it means to add to the mitzvah. Outside of Eretz Yisrael, people eat in the sukkah on the 8th day because it is treated as though it might be the 7th day. However, no bracha is recited since the day is merely for one community there.
No, since we know, so we technically could be that according to the calendar. Today we know, but since we don't go by the calendar, so we can say exactly. So that's why we in Shmini Atzeret we eat in the sukkah, but we don't Simchat Torah. But like I'll give you, Shmini Atzeret we do it 2 days, right? Why? Same idea, because we say we're not sure if it was the first day or the second day, after Eretz Israel, and therefore we always do 2 days for all the Yom Tov. But now, if I do 2 days, it could be that Simchat Torah was really Simchat Torah was really meant for. So that's why now I have to eat in the sukkah, because it could be that it's really sukkah. Right. Even though nowadays we know, because we follow the calendar, so we know it's not.
So you do for lunch, not for dinner. Right?
No, so for let's say tomorrow night, you eat in the sukkah. Tomorrow later, that's it. But you don't make a bracha. That's the thing. You don't make a bracha because really, it's not the.
Israel, people in the sukkah on the 8th day because they're treated as though it might be the 7th day. However, no bracha said. Sukkot, reciting the bracha with the end of the day's practices, self-contradictory. So avoid looking like he is transgressing Baltosif. You should bring pots. Sukkot, this makes it clear that he is not intended to fill the mitzvah of sukkah when he eats there. So just pick his. That's it.
Like, where is it? Okay, now we're just going to do a little bit of Simchat Torah. Let's do a little bit of Simchat Torah. Alors, so now let's do it. Shmini Atzeret and Simchat Torah. You know that Shmini Atzeret is both a continuation of Sukkot and an
Yeah, one.
The fact that Torah calls it the 8th Shmini indicates that it is a continuation of the 7 days of Sukkot. Likewise, with respect to the mitzvah to make a pilgrimage and offer with a special offering. Or one who did not offer the sacrifice on Sukkot could offer them a Shmini Atzeret. So if you did not do on Sukkot, it's like an additional day. In several respects, Shmini Atzeret is considered the Sukkah.
No
The-
shaking.
to take the lulav and itchol, or to offer water libation in the tamid offer with the tamid offering. Therefore, it has a different name. It is not called Sukkot, but Shmini Atzeret. In the prayers, Kiddush, you got Hamazon, right? We say Shmini Chag Atzeret as it. The second first day, 12 on the second, and so forth until 7 bowls were offered on the 7th day. Shmini Atzeret were a continuation of Sukkot. Presumably, 6 bowls would have been offered. In fact, only a single bowl was said Vachav Shechianu and Kiddush at night, and Shechianu we said on the first night of Sukkot does not cover Shemini Atzeret. Right?
Yep.
So we say Ishnu Shechianu, and exactly because it's not a continuation of Sukkot. Chavod.
Number 2, the idea behind Shmini Atzeret. Sages tell us that 70 bowls offered on Sukkot correspond to the 70 nations of the world, while the single bowl offered on Shmini Atzeret corresponds to the singular nation of Israel. The Gemara illustrates this can be compared to flesh and blood who told the servants, "Make me a big feast." And on the last day of the celebration, he said to his favorite, "Make me a small bouquet so I can enjoy your company alone." A midrash makes a similar analogy. This can be compared to a king who threw a week-long party and invited everyone in the country to it. Once said to his favorite, he said to his favorite, "We have already fulfilled our duty to the countrymen. Let the two of us continue with whatever we find, some meat, fish, and vegetables." Surely, when God said to Israel, "On the 8th day you shall hold a joyous gathering for yourselves," He was telling them, continue with whatever you find, a bull and a ram. The Zohar presents an analogy all throughout Sukkot. Israel offered sacrifice on behalf of the 70 nations. In Atzeret, was the king's day, exclusively with Israel. It can be compared to a king who invited guests. Everyone in the palace worked on their behalf. Later on, the king said to them, "Thus far, you and I have made efforts on behalf of all these offerings from the 70 nations. Now we will celebrate for one day just us. This is the meaning on the 8th day you shall hold a joyous gathering for yourselves. These offerings are for you." Another midrash focuses on the joy of celebrating Shmini Atzeret with God. When Israel heard about it, they began praising God with the verse, "This is the day that the Lord has made." Dr. Evans asked. The Hebrew word "God" ambiguous, so we do not know whether to rejoice on the God. King Solomon came and resolved, "And let us delight in you through your Torah. It is in you through your salvation." This is what is simple to you. Sarah has no special mitzvah other than rejoicing in God, Torah, and His salvation.
Beautiful. It's very, very nice. The word Atzeret derives from Atzara, a gathering for. On this day, we gather together to bid farewell to the annual holiday. This cycle begins with Pesach. The festival of ingathering, when we gather in all the physical and spiritual fruits of the year and we rejoice in them throughout the world. On Shemini Atzeret, everything up. At the time, when the time for departure arrived, he said, from this perspective, it is appropriate to be happy on Shemini Atzeret than any other holiday. It is on this day which concludes the yearly cycle of lifting. Shemini Atzeret does not such as Sukkah or four species, but stems from the very fact that we are God's children and people. As the Vilna Gaon says, that the mitzvah is to rejoice in God exclusively. Torah, it is the happiest day of all. In this festive farewell get together, when we draw especially close to God, He gives us the opportunity to permanently conserve and preserve this year. There's another holiday that the Torah calls an Atzeret, namely the seventh day of Pesach. You shall hold a joyous gathering, Atzeret, for the Lord your God on the seventh day. It is described as an Atzeret for God because all the light we gather and absorb in Pesach we give back to God, and we are not yet on the level to permanently store it within us. But 6 months later on Sheminat Atzeret, as the completing all the year's festivals, we have reached a point where we can store within ourselves forever all the light and goodness that we absorb during the eighth day is fitting for this celebration, as this world, the natural world, is linked with the number 7. It was created in 7 days, and eventually, and it is temporary and finite. In order to store all of the goodness and divine and manifest in it, we must sanctify ourselves and ascend to a level beyond nature and time. A level that is linked to the number 8, the power of this level that is beyond nature, makes it possible to improve the world. We are similarly commanded to perform Brit Milah, which improves upon nature, right? Rabbi Eliezer. On the 8th day, for the covenant is eternal, beyond nature and time. God also gave us the eternal Torah of 7 days. For this reason, it is appropriate to associate Simchat Torah with Sheminat Atzeret, the holiday correlated with the number 8. You want to good? You want to continue? Whatever you like. You're good? Chavod.
Completion of Torah. Water to allowing all plants, animals, and people to survive. Therefore, it is properly to him for benefit. To the 2 mentions of rain and Amida, we recited during the rainy season between Sukkot and Pesach. He makes the wind blow and the rain fall. The Shiva Rocha where the Gesha. This invocation is called Azarat Geshamim, the mention of rain. In the ninth bracha, in which we petition God for sustenance and livelihood, we ask Him to bring down benevolent dew and rain during the winter months. Sukkot marks the start of the rainy season, so we cannot fulfill the mitzvah of Sukkot in the rain. For this reason, the saints delayed Hoshaana Raba until after Sukkot and ordained that we begin reciting Mashiach Baruch and Musa Shmini Atzeret when the singing is high and it is time to announce the beginning of Hoshaana activity. Since not everyone comes to Ma'ariv, it's forbidden to announce anything just prior to the Amida. So the announcement one starting Hoshaana Geshamim at Musa Shmini Atzeret. We also unite between the Hashem and prepare for rain, in which we also all the upcoming year rain will be beneficial to open the ark for the gift of the celebration intended. Ashkenazi Catholic teaches early to prepare for the days of all. The custom word the kittel and the chants of special million as the days of all. And then the custom of Faradim to recite Tefillah, Geshem, and Musa. And the custom also to insert of the Amida and the second bracha at that point. Here for those who will follow the customs of the calendar to declare towards Amida, the Shiva Rocha with the Gesher by ritual which is after the congregant to recite the space during the signs. Amida, even though they do not recite light into water. This is why it gives life to the world, so the words of Torah give life to the world. Water animates the body, and Torah to the soul. Therefore, it is proper during the Gesher to have in mind spiritual water as well as physical water, so that the next year will be plus the Torah. It would make a lot of the first Mara after the festival. However, the sages revealed were concerned about pilgrims who travel great distances, so they delayed the beginning of Shabbat for another 15 days. Until then, descendant of Marquez, pilgrims who came from across the Euphrates to return home without getting caught in trouble. If one forgot to say Mashiach Baruch and Musaf Shmiyat Zerah or any time afterward, you need not repeat the Nida as long as you said Mari Hatam. This is the prevailing custom there. If one forgot the meaning of Marfashman, he should insert the bracha of Tefillah. If you forgot to say it there, you should. When if they forgot to say, you should return to the ninth bracha where the Rav clearly Mida from there. If you finish the Mida before realizing his omission, you must repeat the entire Mida. In the diaspora, where there are 2 days of Yom Tov, the Tefillah Yashem is also the same on the first day. We are there, just as there is Yisrael on the second day of the Torah, the cycle of the reading. The Torah is complete.
And in Israel, this is the same as Shmini Atzeret, whereas outside of Israel after Shmini Torah, the parasha of Vizot Bracha is divided into 7 aliyot. In addition, to honor the completion of the Torah, it is customary to call up every congregant for another. Yes,
You do it?
Yeah, everyone goes up.
And says the bracha?
Yes.
The Baruch one by one. If you have 100 people?
Yeah, everyone goes
up.
Because we also make it, then if it's too long, we take another Torah scroll, we go downstairs.
And you
we have 2. Exactly. You know, the standard practice is called up 5 people to the Torah for Aliyot on Simchat Torah. Also, you see, it's interesting from the Aliyot. Aliyot you have Monday and Thursday.
3.
During Rosh Chodesh, during the Chagim.
5.
During Yom Kippur.
6.
Very good. So what's the holiest day of the year? Shabbos. Very good. Now we continue. You like that one?
Yeah.
Very nice. Even though the standard practice in Yom Tov is to call up 5 people to the Torah for Aliyot, on Simchat Torah, the parasha of Vizot Bracha is divided into 7 Aliyot. In addition, to honor the completion of the Torah, it is customary to call up every congregant for an Aliyah. To this end, the first 5 Aliyot are read over and over until everyone that's present has been called up, except for the 4 people who will be called up later, 2 for the last 2 Aliyot, 1 for the beginning of Bereshit, and 1 for Maftir. The Chatchila. Each of the 3 Israelim. If there are more Kohanim or Levites to call up, they can be called up for the 4th and 5th Aliyot. I think the 4th Aliyah should be given to the Kohen, the 5th to the Levi. If any Kohanim are present, but only a few Levites, once all Kohanim and Levites have been called up, Israel can be called up for a 5 Aliyot. So it's interesting, even then, to keep the respect for the Kohanim and Levites. But there are many congregants that discuss to split up into multiple minyanim. Oh, look at this. The Torah reading, in order to shorten the time it takes to give everyone an aliyah. Afterwards, the congregation to minors under the age of bar mitzvah. The right split custom is to give an individual aliyah to every child who knows how to recite the brachot, and to do that, go up to the bima together with an esteemed member of the community for the aliyah called Kol Anearim. Right, so all the children go up and they put up the talit. The accompanying adult recites the brachot, each word after him. This is the penultimate aliyah, and it begins with the word meona. By giving every congregant an aliyah, we show that every Jew, young and old, scholar and lay person, as a part in the Torah.
Therefore, includes the Torah.
He starts with Torah.
Why is the start not important?
Shema Melech. Like we say, everything goes by this signature, like we say in Yom Kippur. And Shema Melech says אמר יהודה, שכי משם לו בתורה, ועושה נהר ולא לעושו, אמר שמו בחונתו, שם נשמתו ביום הבית מיום מבלדו. So it's better the day of death than the day that a person was born. Why? Because it's when you accomplish everything. He's doing the last. He's yeah. It works. It doesn't do the bracha because okay. So let's go learn a little bit of the laws of Torah. How it works is that really when you go, why do you make the brachot? Because we say this is your aliyah, this is your part. But since you want to put a shaliach or you don't know or whatever the case is, so he's your shaliach. But this is you don't have time to go to the wedding. So the girl says, here's the truth. They both meet. As soon as they meet, and the two messengers, they say, Agat Mikudeshitni for this person. Boom, boom, they're married. And it worked. No, they're married. That's it. Now she's off limits. So
and the husband never saw the wife.
No. But we say that the Gemara says that really the husband should always see his wife. But let's say he didn't do it, then it was still work. But when you go up to the Torah, this is your section, as if you write it yourself. This is just your shaliach there. Very good. So now let's okay, the Chatanim. So Chatan Torah.
Okay. The person honored with this aliyah is called Chatan Torah. The penultimate aliyah is called Nari, discussed above, and it too is prestigious. The person called up for this aliyah is sometimes called Chatan Me'onah. Immediately after Torah is concluded, another Torah scroll is brought out, another person is called up, and the first verses of the Bereshit are read. It is a great honor to receive this aliyah. The person receives called up. Finish reading the Torah, we do not bid it farewell, not even for a moment, rather we immediately begin again. After the Chatan Bereshit, the third Torah scroll is brought out, and the aliyah of Mafta is read. This it's customary to read the beginning of Yeshua as the Haftarah, since the entire text of the Torah is to be fulfilled in Eretz Yisrael. After completing the Torah, it's appropriate to begin Yeshua, which is about the value of Eretz Yisrael. Another reason to read Yeshua at this point is because it's important verses of to observe faithfully all the Torah that my servant Moses doing for you, do not deviate from it. Do not deviate from the right but from the left, so that you will be successful wherever you go. This book of Torah says, cease from your mouth, recite it day and night, so that you can observe it faithfully. Right after completing the Torah. In many places, the is set aside for prestigious aliyot, the largest donors of Israel, and the financial support of Torah scholars. Elsewhere, these aliyot are given to Torah scholars or community leaders that choosing how to read their conflict. Because it is difficult to determine who is the most deserving, it's better to sell the aliyot to the highest bidder. It's an added bonus if a buyer also a Torah scholar or community leader. In some places, the wealthy buy these aliyot, they should enter the Torah. Some have a custom that each person who receives an aliyah pledges to make a donation to Simchat Torah in Torah study. If one already had an aliyah, then finds out the congregation wishes to honor him. As Chatan Torah, Chatan Me'onah, Chatan Bereshit, or Mafta, he may accept this initial aliyah, and then those observe that he is making unnecessary bracha. However, if one is honored as Chatan Torah, he should not receive. It would look as though he had to come back for next aliyah because the first source was found. Magamdi, Levi, or Chatan Torah, Chatan Bereshit. Ashkenaz customs to read 3 aliyot for Parashat Bezot, Abracha, on the night of Simchat Torah and after that. Those who are called up to recite the brachot.
the akafot. It is customary on Simchat Torah to have been 7 akafot at night and another 7 during the day. As well, one akafot alludes to the Or HaMakosh is so sublime that we cannot apprehend it through our intellect in any definite way. Really understand the course of the year is a type of eternal light which our intellect absorbs in a demarcated manner. Through this, when we complete the Torah, we can absorb something of the Or HaMakif, which emerges from the Torah as a whole. The intensity of Simchat Torah facilitates this process. Before the Akafot, the custom is to take all the Torah scrolls out of the ark, including invalid scrolls. Ashkenaz's custom is to carry all the scrolls and dance with them for the duration of the Akafot. If there are more scrolls than the dancers can carry, only those scrolls that have someone carry them are taken out. According to this very custom, for most of the Akafot, almost all the Torah scrolls are placed on the bima while one person holds one Torah scroll and everyone else dances around them. Based on the teaching of the Arizal, some of the customs to circle the bima with the one Torah scroll customs are acceptable. 7 circuits suffice to uphold the custom of Akafot, but to rejoice with and honor the Torah, the main focus of Simchat Torah. One should expand and accept his custom. Another Akafot takes place after Maghrib during the day, some of the Akafot after Musaf, and some of the after the Torah reading. But in most congregations, Akafot take place earlier after Shachrit and before the Torah reading. Many synagogues have Kiddush during Akafot, where some people drink a lot of wine and get tipsy, but they make sure to avoid intoxication. One must make sure to, as it is prohibited to pray the Amidah while under the influence of alcohol. It is also prohibited for a Kohen to perform Birkat Kohanim while under the influence of Akafot. However, if it is difficult for someone to stand, he may sit, or he should stand. Based on the Kabbalistic Akavot at night after Sheminat Atzeret ends, right? This is what they have in Chabad, right? They do Akafot at night, Sheminat Atzeret at night, and then they do Akafot.
Same thing, same 7 again?
Yeah, they do it 2 times. The 2 are in honor of the Torah, so there is an element of mitzvah in them. Rav Kook says that musical instruments should be played to make it clear that Yom Tov is over and that they are now celebrating Yom Tov Sheni Shel Galyot in Eretz Yisrael. Or they're saying like to do. No, I mean like interesting. Here he's saying that in Eretz Yisrael, that when we do Simchat Torah, there's some people that have the custom to also do intense joy.
The joy of Simchat Torah is so intense that when King Shlomo attained wisdom, he offered burnt offerings and peace offerings and made a great feast for all his servants. This, that we make a feast to celebrate the completion of the Torah. It was said in praise of Abaya, one of the greatest for the state. Thus, there was a custom to have a great feast on Simchat Torah. In many places, the Patan Torah and the Patan Rashid invite the whole congregation to a Kiddush or provide wine for the taste. The importance of this joy is evident from the fact that the Minim ruled that in honor of Simchat Torah, it's permissible to dance and clap, even though the sage prohibited dancing and clapping on Shabbat and Yom Tov. Out of concern that people might end up fixing their medical instruments. More recently, after the great Hasidic master emphasized the value and the importance of the mitzvah to be joyful, many are leaning to what they're this even on an ordinary Shabbat. It's customary between Simchat Torah and the mitzvah of Hakel, which took place in the Sukkot that all Israel resembles honor the Torah. Many Torah triumphs would dance their hearts out on Simchat Torah and told the Vilna Gaon. He was very happy on Sukkot. His face alight with wisdom, like a burning torch. He clapped and he would repeat after them. Some do not stand on their dignity during the dance. When his wife Michal, daughter of King Saul, saw that when he returned home, she greeted him with rebuke because she felt he had degraded the honor by acting like a responded that he was not that who chose me instead of your father and all his family and appointed me as the Lord's people in Israel. I will dance for the Lord, honor myself even more, and be low in my own esteem, but among the maidservants it is said that anyone who dances and rejoices with all his might in honor of the Torah is guaranteed. The Torah will not be alien to his descendants. Others say that all of the perfect prayers and supplications which could not ascend to heaven during the year and even during the days of awe now ascended are as well as received thanks to our dancing in Simchat Torah. It is also said that the holy Arizal attained the highest levels of the insight into the esoteric aspect of the Torah because he rejoiced with all his might with performing mitzvot.
חזק ברוך.